And we're back again at Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 5. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which the Lord your God commanded you to walk in. So shall you put the evil away from the midst of you. Notes. Now, presently, if God's people refuse to support such, the ministry of false prophets is simply not going to survive. But unfortunately, most modern Christians so little know their Bible that they little know any more about what is right or wrong, true or false. Therefore, most of the modern church supports that which is really not of God, which basically means that it is of the devil. I mean, they're going along thinking all the time that they're supporting the Lord's work, but in truth, they are really not doing the right thing. It's so overwhelmingly obvious. Verse 6. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods which you have not known, nor your fathers, namely the gods of the people which are round about you, near unto you, or far off from you, from the end of the earth even unto the end of the earth, you shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall your eye even pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Verse 11. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this among you. Notes. Now, stern measures were demanded simply because the nation was at stake. If they go back to worshiping idols, God is not going to have that, and they're going to end up being slaves again to other nations. They're going to end up being tore up. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we will read later on. To be sure, Satan would use this tactic of false prophets graphically, so to try to turn Israel away from God, and ultimately he will succeed. And he's actually doing the same presently, and very, very successful at that. Now, Satan is a master at making people believe that what is actually of God isn't, and what isn't of God actually is. Adolf Hitler was a perfect example of that. He claimed to be serving God while killing the exact people who were of God. Perfect example right there. And I despise that man thoroughly. Verse 12. If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which the Lord your God has given you to dwell there, saying, Certain men are children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, Let us go and serve other gods which you have not known, then shall you inquire and make search and ask diligently. And behold, if it be the truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn with fire that city, and all the spoil thereof every whit, for the Lord your God. And it shall be an heap forever, and it shall not be built again. Notes. Everything that false doctrine touches is soiled and polluted, spiritually speaking. Now that word, the son of Belial, or to call someone a Belial, basically means to say that these people are just worthless. That's actually what that word actually means. Verse 17. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to your hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you as he has sworn unto your fathers. when you shall hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep all his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord your God. Notes, as is pretty obvious, whenever we're talking in chapter 13 of this book, every single trace of idol worship was to be completely done away with. For what men do not see does not tempt them so powerfully as what they actually can see. Chapter 14. You are the children of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Notes. Now, you can still see these practices going on in other religions. People doing bodily carvings on themselves and shaving their heads in order to show sorrow for certain things here and there. The heathen were doing this, and God is saying, I don't want you to go ahead and do that. Verse 2. For you are a holy people unto the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. Notes. Okay, Israel was to receive the word of the Lord from Jehovah himself and give it to the world. And as well, they were to be basically the womb of the Messiah, so to speak, and hence they have all these restrictions. And all the restrictions were done for purpose and reason, which if violated would hinder Israel's very, very important purpose. Verse 3. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which you shall eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck, and the fallow, the deer, and the wild goat, and the pygarg, which is the antelope, and the wild ox, and the camoes, which is a wild sheep. Verse 6. Every beast that parts the hoof, and clings the cleave into the claws, and chews the cud among the beasts, you shall eat. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat of them who chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel and the hare and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof, therefore they are unclean to you. Verse 8. And the hogs, because it divides the hoof, yet chews not the cud, it is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. These you shall eat of all that are in the waters, all that have fins and scales shall you eat. And whatsoever has not fins and scales you may not eat, it is unclean unto you. Of all clean birds you shall eat, but these are they of which you shall not eat: the eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after its kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant. Verse 18, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. Now I have to stop there for just a second. Verse 18, people get confused because a bat is not really actually considered a fowl of the air in modern English. But if you check the ancient Hebrew language, a fowl of the air is actually it basically means to have a covering of wings, or to have a pair of wings to fly. So to the ancient Hebrews, a fowl of the air would actually be considered a bat. Verse 19. And every creeping thing that flies is unclean unto you, they shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls you may eat. And I'm running out of time here, we must pick up in chapter 14, I think it's verse 21. Thank you very much.